Hello, my name is Connor Zapponi. I'm the operations manager here at Echo, otherwise known as the Educational Council of Homeowners. Thank you for participating in this community conversation, making sense of HOA re-roofing and board responsibility. Echo is a statewide nonprofit association established to support HOA board members and engaged homeowners. Our mission is to foster a better quality of life in community associations through education, advocacy, and connection. For today's event, we have a few housekeeping items. These are now presented on the screen. In addition, slides were sent to registered attendees prior to today's webinar. Please take a moment to review our housekeeping items. The chat icon is to be used to report technical issues and to communicate directly with other participants in the webinar or the speakers. Please place your questions in the Q&A feature. Oh, I have a few people in here saying they can't hear me. Am I hearable by everyone? Okay. Okay, thank you for confirming. There's a few in chat that have been saying they can't hear me, so I just wanted to double check. Perfect. Back where we were going. Please place your questions in the Q&A feature. We will try to answer some questions during the presentation, but we have a whole period at the end of the webinar for questions. Questions about specific situations are better asked of the attorney serving your association or an appropriate industry professional familiar with your specific situation. Now let me direct your attention to our disclaimer. None of what is said during this seminar shall be construed as specific legal or expert advice from the speakers, sponsors, or Echo. If you wish for specific advice, we encourage you to contact your attorney or another suitable expert. The information we provide during this webinar is educational in nature and should not be relied upon for specific decision-making purposes. Thank you. This event, as well as all of our events, is made possible by the contributions of our generous professional sponsors. Today's Q&A sponsor is CID Consortium, LLC, and our registration sponsor is Levy, Erlinger and Company. Please support all Echo professional members and especially our sponsors. They make our educational programming available at little or no cost to you. And now a bit about today's speaker. Donna Vingo is an HOA specialist representing Westlake Unified Steel in Central and Northern California, coastline to state line. Donna was a project manager or forward planner in residential and commercial construction in the Greater Bay Area for 15 years prior to joining Westlake Roofing in 2018. As a project manager or forward planner, she worked extensively with architects, community managers, Department of Real Estate, and the Department of Real Estate, setting up the HOA for her communities, landscape architects, and served on many homeowner association boards as the builder representative. I'd like to hand it over to Donna to take the presentation away. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much, Connor. And want to reiterate, this presentation is for educational purposes. It's to make the board informed on the HOA decision making that they have to do by consolidating scattered information about the process, responsibilities, and available resources. HOA boards have a tremendous amount of responsibility, but usually little or no knowledge of where to get the information they need to make the necessary decisions. This isn't a how-to or about one HOA or roofing project, but it's from years of experience as a builder, developer, manager, where, like Connor said, part of my job was setting up the HOAs. So it's to make the HOA members and aware of the board responsibilities about their re-roofing process and available resources. the HOA. And I'm just going to go through these real quickly. A lot of them were from the Ask the Experts in March. So what is an HOA? It functions like a mini government. It charges fees for the common areas and common area maintenance and services. And the board makes all the decision through the voting process. The board has 8 key duties. They have a fiduciary responsibility. They collect assessments, attend board meetings, common area maintenance, finances, enforce governing documents. They have operation oversight and limited transparency to protect the HOA assets. In short, they preserve, protect, and maintain the HOA. Roof replacement, every capital project has 3 phases. There's the communication, the planning, and the construction. Communication is the most important, and it's the most overlooked. You've got to keep your homeowners informed throughout the process with meetings. You know, have them come to the board meetings, town halls, updates. Nobody likes surprise bills. Planning is what takes the longest, since the board has a number of steps that they have to go through. They vote on each decision, each step, and they have to have a quorum. I mean, if they meet once a month, then going through this process is going to take 2 to 3 years. And knowing the re-roofing steps and where to find the information is crucial. And construction's the fastest phase and really the most rewarding. Next slide, Connor. So boards often start by researching the roofing products, but when you go online, the volume of information is just overwhelming. And so what happens is they usually close the computer, walk away, and nothing gets done. So I've got a roofing materials comparison, but before we dive into that, and I'll also provide this for you. Connor will have one, or you can just shoot me an email and I'll send it to you. This is just pulling together all the information that's available if you know where to look for it. Starting with, what do you want your roof to do? I mean, it's usually to protect your family and your home, keep the elements out, keep everyone safe, dry, and warm. What most people don't know is it's the underlayment that is the water resistant barrier. And then the roofing material that goes on top of the underlayment is up there to protect the underlayment. And together, the roofing material or the roof covering and the underlayment is your roofing system. First question most people ask is, what about warranties? And my personal warranties, frankly, I don't think are worth the paper they're printed on anymore. They used to warranty the product, but now, well, take for instance the asphalt shingle in 2011. They went from selling it by weight, so you'd get a 20, 30, or 40-year warranty for it, depending on how much material was in it. The tar and the, whoops, Connor, did you leave?
No, we're still here.
Oh, okay. I just saw, thank you for being here. Um, so the warranties went from being based on weight to being based on the purchaser. It was a language change, and that's for asphalt shingle. Basically, you've got to have your attorney look over the warranties because as an HOA, you don't get the residential warranty. You're a commercial, you're a corporation, so you would get the commercial warranty. And that's something to be aware of because that's very different from the residential warranty that people think that they're getting. Next, Connor. Okay, California is in an insurance crisis. And another thing is insurance may require roof replacement after the standard now is 20 years, and that's regardless of the warranty length. So don't go by your warranty. The insurance companies and the insurance underwriters rely on data, not on the warranty. For instance, this is the 2015 California Department of Real Estate Reserve Cost Manufacture or Reserve Cost Manual, and it hasn't been updated since 2015. But it shows you it goes by the average life or the expected life, not by the warranty. And that's what drives the decisions for the insurance companies. So board members should be aware of this and seek out legal counsel. So now we'll dive into all of the steps that an HOA goes through for a re-roofing process. I've got detailed project timelines with charts, can make those available on request. This is a list of steps an HOA board should consider when they start the re-roofing process. Not every HOA is going to go through every step, but they should be aware of them because it's going to take a lot longer than calling up a roofing company, getting a roof inspection, making a decision, and having the roof put on. Like I said before, the board has to vote to begin and then clearly communicate the reasons that they're going to start the roof replacement process right at the very beginning. Communication, again, is very important. Then the board reviews the reserve budget and the reserve component list. You review your governing documents. Is the HOA or our homeowners responsible for re-roofing? All governing documents have something slightly different, so a thorough review is really called for. Are updates or amendments to the governing documents needed? Are you going to have your HOA attorney look at them? Then review your management contract. Community managers are not responsible for capital projects. And this is a very important thing to be aware of. It's not the community manager's job. You can ask them, and generally you'll be told, get a roof inspection, but your roof's 30 years old. It needs to be redone. Or they will recommend that the larger management companies have project services or project management arms of the company, and they will take care of the whole process for you. But they also charge 5 to usually 9% of the project cost. So be aware of that. There's also construction managers that for a medium to large HOA, I would really recommend because they can be very helpful. Your reserve budgets. Your reserve budgets are typically very underfunded. Post-COVID, with the inflation and everything that's going on, talk to your reserve analyst, review your reserve budget. Most reserve analysts have been adding 1 to 2% per year um, to the reserve budget for their components. But I mean, the last 5 years, it's been 10 to 20%. So have your reserve analyst look at your budget and put in current costs. And then the board decides whether a construction manager is needed. And I've just got listed under that what the board looks for in a conservative or a construction manager. So they would set the initial scope of work for the board approved material. The board then sends out an RFP for the construction manager. They schedule a job walk. They accept proposals. The board reviews the construction manager's proposals and then selects a construction manager. Always have your attorney review the contracts. It's a big project, and you need a good construction manager. And then it's signed, and the board works with the HOA attorney. Oh, oops, that one's in the wrong place. Sorry. Next. So then the board schedules a membership meeting or a town hall to explain the re-roofing process, the re-roofing material that they've chosen, and the funding method. If you need a special assessment or a loan, you're going to need a general membership vote. And you're also going to have your attorney put together the special assessment and the loan ballot. You have to hire an inspector of elections, which is it's a separate company that will handle the election, or I'm sorry, the ballot process. That's a new law. California under Davis Sterling updates their laws annually, and that's a new 2022 law. And nice thing is the membership meeting, if you do have a construction manager, they are very helpful, and that and that your loan or special assessment bank that's going to be handling it should be involved in that meeting. But you have to clearly state again why it's necessary to do the roofing now. And next, then there's the contractor selection, which if the board hires a construction manager or if the management company has the project services, they will take care of all of this. Otherwise, the board would have to do each step. So they select the companies for a request for proposal, the RFP. They set the scope of work and send the RFP. You have a job walk with the roofing companies. You accept their proposals. And each one of these takes at least 30 days, which again is why get started early, because it's going to take a lot longer than you think. You confirm all the items in the scope are included in each of the proposals. The quality of the materials are the same as the scope in the scope of work. The contractors resubmit their proposals. qualify the contractors, make sure they're licensed, bonded, and insured, and that they've done HOA work, because it's very different. You have to make sure that they have the correct insurance. You have your attorney review the proposals and contracts. The contractor submits the project schedule and phasing plan. You select the contractor for the re-roofing project, and the roofing contract is reviewed by the HOA attorney and executed, and then the roofing contract is signed. And then we get to the quick part, the actual construction. If all of the planning has been done, the construction is probably the easiest phase for the board. The contractor gets the necessary approvals. They do the noticing to the homeowner. They have weekly construction reports and in-progress meetings. And if you have a construction manager, they handle all of this. The contractor pulls the building permits and the work starts. The contractor coordinates for all of the necessary inspections and sign-offs. Construction's complete, and then you have your post-construction job walk and punch list. Contractor completes the punch list, final job walk, you get your warranties and the final inspections, and the board authorizes payments. So that was a very quick run through. And I know that there are lots of questions. If we'd like to start with questions.
Yeah. Thank you, Donna. So we are going to move into the Q&A. This was a very quick approach. Donna wanted to do a more Q&A focused presentation today. So there's a lot of content that we covered in the shorter presentation, but we want to answer your burning questions. So please use the Q&A, put your questions in there, upvote the questions that you would like to have answered. And then Donna and I will be going through the Q&A for the next half an hour to 40 minutes or so, as long as you guys have questions to answer. So feel free to put your questions in there. This is our Q&A session sponsored by CID Consortium. Okay, Donna, our first question is going to be from Marcia Matre. And she asks, when interviewing potential roof contractors, what 3 to 4 questions, not necessarily the obvious ones, should the board be asking?
If they've done HOA work and you want to get a list of HOAs that they've done, do they have adequate insurance? I mean, the obvious one, licensed, bonded, and insured. And check them out. Talk to other HOAs that have had work done by them.
Okay. Here's another one from Marcia. It sounds like she recently went out and got 5 bids for their community, but they came in at 3+ times what was in the last year's reserve study. Are you finding that common in California today?
100%. I generally tell HOA boards, I said, without even looking at your HOA budget, I can pretty much state that you're 50% or more underfunded. Like I said before, the reserve analysts usually add 1 to 2% to account for inflation. I would talk to your reserve analyst, and re-roofing is usually the largest line item in your reserve budget. There are some budgets on older HOAs that don't even have a line item for re-roofing. So yes, talk to your analyst. tell them you want them to go out and get today's pricing. For instance, Connor, if you go to the slide that has the one down. Okay, on this one, this was from 2015, and it states in there that if you're in Palm Springs, add 20% for environmental requirements. And the Bay Area has the most environmental requirements, and it has the highest labor cost. The past, I'd say 5 years, has seen labor explode in the Bay Area. So have your reserve analysts contact roofing companies, roofing contractors that have done HOA work, and get current costs, because yes, you are underfunded.
Okay.
That's also in the HOA re-roofing task list. After you review your governing documents, you should start. There's the board education on the HOA re-roofing process. I mean, I'd be happy to come in. There's other consultants that can come in and explain the re-roofing process. And then you have your board education on re-roofing material today. Choose one or two, and then order a roof inspection, because you're going to need budgetary costs for the one or two products that you've selected. And that's when you'll get some clarification on what is actually going to cost.
Okay. Thank you for that one, Donna, and Marcia for the question. We have another question here from Anonymous. He wants to pick your brain a little bit. What is the average life of a PVC roof? It's not listed on the state of California's list. Do you happen to know off the top of your head, Donna?
I only deal with steep slope roofing. I don't do flats. I believe it's for PVC or TPO. I think it's about 20 years, but again, I would contact the manufacturers, or even go on the manufacturers' websites and look under warranty. Expected life. Again, I don't know.
Okay. We have another question here from an anonymous attendee. Donna, can you walk us through the financial aspects of a re-roofing project a little bit more? What kind of deposits are involved for a roofer or construction manager? Do you have a rough idea of how much managers charge? Is it a flat fee, steep payments? And is the contractor payment usually done in steps?
Yes. Sorry. Each contract is different. I mean, if you're talking for like a condo project, it would definitely be phased. You would have the initial deposit, and then you'd have in progress payments as certain timelines are met. And for construction managers, there's all different ways you can structure your contract. That's why I always say, for any contract the HOA is going to do, have your attorney look at it and make sure it's a good HOA attorney, someone that knows what they're doing, not, like an accident attorney. It has to be someone that is knowledgeable on the HOA construction process, and have your attorney review all your governing documents. Most governing documents haven't been updated since they were written 30, 40, even 50 years ago. I had one that they were single family homes. The HOA took care of um, the common area. Homeowners were responsible for their own roof, but they also had to go through a design review. And 50 years after the documents were written, they decided on products that they wanted for the HOA, and got called onto the carpet. It's like, um, never took these through design review. It has to go through a specific architectural company that is no longer in business. It's like, oh, so please review governing documents. If you need to update your governing documents, get it done, and have your attorney review every document. For construction managers, there's again different structured management contracts. They can do it by task, or they can do the entire project. The management companies, the larger ones, will have like project services where they can come in and say, okay, we already have all of your information. Your budget says you can do this, so you're going to have to, raise your dues 20%. You're going to have to get a loan. What's your timeline for doing this? And they can take care of everything. But if it's a large project, you're going to have to pay for it, and it does get expensive.
Okay. Thank you very much for that answer, Donna. We're going to go to our next question from John Rickard. What's your preference for, or what's your preferred process for handling change orders, particularly when there is a construction manager involved, as well as the PC and subs? And for a second part to that question, does the costs and construction components that are pertinent to the homes being re-roofed, but outside the scope of the base HOA re-roofing project? So I guess let's tackle the
Um,
first part there, Donna. Uh, how do you deal with change orders when you're dealing with a roof? It's the best way that you have found that works for a lot of the contractors that you work with.
well, if you've got a construction manager, the construction manager should review the change order, um, give a clear, concise why it's needed, what's going to be done, and the cost of it. Um, that's the construction manager's job. The board then reviews it and approves it or asks more questions.
Yeah. And if there's not a construction manager involved and say a member of the board is the liaison, if you will, for approving it, uh, have you seen any communities that have done it that way as well?
I have, and unless you have a construction professional who is knowledgeable on the costs and materials that are needed for change orders, it can get a little sticky. It's a huge amount of work.
Yeah. And then the second part of John's question was, what if those change orders are including of construction components that are pertinent to the homes, but are outside the scope of the re-roofing project that you originally had scoped. So when that the change order includes a material or a component that was outside of the original scope.
If it is required by code, it would have to be done. If it is something that the homeowner has added, that would be paid for by the homeowner. I mean, it's really difficult to answer without knowing specifics.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that, Donna. Uh, and John, thanks for the question. Let's move on to our next one by Zachina. Can you comment on standard level of reserve funding for HOA? At what percent are most HOAs funded? I don't know if that's really much for you, Donna.
Yeah, that would be more for your reserve analyst.
Yeah. And Zachina, I would be more than happy to answer that question if you want to shoot that to me in the email. But we'll go ahead and move on to the next question here. Donna, can you use a phased approach when doing a re-roofing project?
Oh, definitely. Um, you can phase it over a number of years, doing either blocks or um, buildings. Um, problem is that I've run into is if all of the buildings need to be re-roofed, and especially now if the re-roofing has been deferred for a number of years, if you have leaks, um, I mean, if there are issues, then how do you phase it? Because if you say, okay, we're going to do this block of buildings this year, we're going to do this one next year, and the first year, the first phase gets done, the second, and during the first year, phase two has significant leaks or water damage, um, is the board responsible? You know, that again is a difficult, really, attorney question. Um,
And I'm sure it also depends on the state of the roof, right?
right. If it's been, and I'm seeing this a lot, um, deferred maintenance. I mean, they've been deferring it for years, saying, you know, we don't have the money. We've got other projects that need to be done. Um, yeah, and now the insurance companies are coming and saying, we'll no longer accept deferred maintenance. The underwriters, Fannie Mae, um, in particular, has given a long list. It's like, okay, if you've got deferred maintenance, what is it? How much have you been spending it on? Where is your schedule to get it taken care of? Otherwise, we're not going to fund you, which means that if you can't get Fannie Mae funding or you can't get insurance, you can't sell your homes. So it's a very serious thing now.
So, Regina, I hope that answered your question. It looks like a phased approach is possible, but really depends on the state of your roofs and what you can do as a community. And the second part I see that you added on here, you talked about how does that affect insurance. So hopefully that answers the second part is, if you're phasing it and you don't have a plan in place, that could really do some harm to your community with your insurance rates or maybe even being not renewed. Uh, so
Insurance companies, um, like I said before, we're in an insurance crisis, and insurance companies are going through and saying, entire zip codes. Okay, we're not insuring you anymore. You have to go into the surplus market. And premiums are skyrocketing. So if you have deferred maintenance on your roofs, please get a schedule. Insurance companies know that it's going to take quite a while. You can't just go out and get, the entire complex roof redone. It's going to take you 3 to 5 years, but they want to see a schedule on how you're going to do it, when it's going to be done, how you're going to fund it. I mean, these are very specific questions that the insurance writers ask.
Okay. Thank you very much for that question, Regina. And we're going to go to a question here from Andrew. Andrew asks, what resources do you use to find roofers? Other than asking for references, are there certifications or registrations that demonstrate competency as a roofer?
Um, they have to be licensed. They've got a C39 for roofing. And talk to Echo. They have a list of roofers. Um, there are roofing companies that specialize in HOAs. I would be happy to send you a list of them if you tell me where you are. And yeah, I could send you a list of HOA roofing companies that I've known and dealt with for years.
Yeah, we have some resources of people who do work in associations. That's on our website, on our professional directory. Also, Donna, a pretty good place to look would probably be the manufacturer. They might have a list of select contractors that work with them. Is that correct?
Yes.
So that might be a good place to look. So once you have the type of roof you want to put on, you can ask your contractor or someone you've spoken to at that company, and maybe they have a list of contractors that you can go to that would be able to put on your roof, uh, which would be a good place to look.
And that also kind of circles back to um, the steps you go through instead of contacting a roofer to get a roof, to start roof replacement, because what they're going to do is most HOAs, when they were built, had either concrete or composition roofs. So the roofing company, the roofing contractor comes out, they look at what's up there, and they go, hate to say this, but HOAs are cheap. They're going to go with the lowest possible price. So I'm going to give them remove and relay the concrete tile or composition, because they know they're going to get other bids. And so they give them their lowest price for the lowest priced product. I always recommend that the board contact the roofing manufacturers first and find out what is the best roof for their HOA, for their situation. What's the best product? What has the best energy efficiency, the best expected life, the life cycle cost of it. I mean, there are so many other things that you're not going to learn unless you contact a manufacturer. That's why I put together the whole warranty, or the whole roofing product matrix. And Westlake manufactures 4 out of the 5 products on the market today. We do the clay, concrete, composite, and metal. The only thing we don't do is composition. We have reps that would be more than happy to come out, go through all the different products with you, and then you pick the one you want, and then you get a roofing contractor to come out and give you budgetary numbers. If you say those words, we're just looking for budgetary numbers for, these two products. They will come out, they'll give you budgetary numbers, and they'll tell you, okay, these are current costs. If you're looking at doing it in 2 years at 10% a year. But that starts the process. So, first do your education on all the different roofing steps you're going to have to go through, the different roofing products, um, and then get your budgetary numbers, and then you really start your planning.
Okay, we have a question here from Vince. In the absence of leaks as an indicator, is it worth getting an independent inspection of the roof to determine whether a 25 or 30-year-old roof needs to be replaced right now or how much life it may have left?
Um, it depends on the product, but if you've got a 25-year-old roof, again, the leak resistance is the underlayment. It's not the roofing product. And most underlayments have a 20 to 30 year warranty or expected life. So kind of forget the warranties. In California, we have intermittent rain. So it comes, we have the rain. If you've got a leak, it could be leaking because it rains, it leaks a little bit, it comes in, it soaks into your underlayment, or it soaks into your insulation, and then it dries out. The storm goes away, everything dries out, and you've got wet insulation, but you don't know because it's not coming through the sheetrock. So a month goes by, we get another storm. Again, it soaks the insulation, it dries up. You don't know. You usually, before it comes through the sheetrock and you know that you have a leak, you've got significant damage. You've got dry rot, you've got your insulation is rotten. It takes a number of years of a steady leak to become apparent inside.
Okay. Hopefully that answers your question, Vince. But if you're at 25 to 30, it sounds like you should probably get it looked at. uh,
And what is the product that's on the roof?
I don't see it on here. Vince, if you want to put that in chat, uh, we can revisit that as well. But we'll take one more question while you go ahead and do that.
Because one thing about the expected life of a roof, when people say I've got, a 30 or 40-year warranty, I ask them, what does it warranty? Does anywhere in there say it won't leak? Because they don't.
Yeah. Okay, we have another question here from Marcia. Given the state of California allowing for individual homeowners to install solar panels on multifamily roofs, what important rules should an HOA have to ensure that the integrity of the roof isn't compromised over its life?
Ooh, um, that's when I stay well away from you. The HOA would have to have their attorney write specific requirements for the individual homeowner putting in solar. Um, Depending on the type of roof, where it's going to be placed. Um, solar is something I stay well away from.
Sounds like there's a lot more to take into account with solar then.
Yes.
you may want some professional aid for that one, Marcia. Uh, she does have a part two to that is what happens if repairs need to happen under the solar panels. And unfortunately, Marsha, that's probably the solar panels need to get removed and repairs made, and then solar panels go back on. Uh, or if you're doing a re-roofing project, solar panels come off, you re-roof everything, and then the panels go back on. Uh, there's not much you can limit once they're up there, unfortunately.
Well, and is this the individual homeowner's solar panel that's going on their roof?
It's on a multifamily roof. So, uh,
Yeah, it's the HOA is responsible for it then, and that's attorney time.
we have a question here from an anonymous attendee. Uh, when and why would you replace a tile roof if tile doesn't wear out?
Um, because of the underlayment is what keeps the water out. And I, that's kind of a tricky question too, because you're right, tile doesn't wear out. The old, I mean, there's some churches I'm familiar with. I come from Santa Barbara, and the Santa Barbara Mission has the old concrete tile on it that has been there for probably 100 years. Um, and it has no underlayment, but roofs aren't made that way anymore. And it's the roofing underlayment that keeps the water out, which is the main thing you want a roof to do. So even though the tile above it um, could be good, you also, some of the tile could have broken, the mortar could have come off. Um, you can have numerous leaks just over time. Um, and most underlayments are maximum of 30 years. So you could remove the tile and put down a new underlayment and replace the tile. It's called remove and relay. And that is done quite a bit with the new concrete, or the not new, but the concrete tile, the lighter weight ones that are, they have to be under 600 pounds per square to be lightweight. They also break more easily. Um, so removing and relaying a lighter weight one, you're going to get significant breakage.
Okay.
But now the old concrete tile roofs are great.
There's one thing put in here in chat with Lucinda, kind of referring to the solar one, but Donna, you might be able to answer this one a little bit easier. Do solar installations impact your roofing warranty?
Um, I know for metal, because we have the solar stanchions or roof jacks that the panels go on, that doesn't poke a hole in the roofing material. That wouldn't impact it. It depends on the type of roof you have and if you're putting holes in it.
Yeah. So if you're putting a hole through your roof, it probably impacts the warranty in some degree. Okay. Uh, we have a question from Mark here. With the long process of doing a re-roofing project, would our board need to meet every month?
Oh, yes. Every month there's another decision that needs to be made.
Yeah, it's usually a pretty good rule of thumb anyway, just to look over the state of the project as well every month, what you're spending on it, change orders. If you don't have a change order chain of command in place for your board, it's a good time to do it during that monthly board meeting. So, uh, if anything changes for the project as well, uh, or your project manager may want to meet with you as well. So, there's a lot of things that can happen. So, you may even be meeting more than once a month. You may be meeting a couple times with just the project manager or your construction manager if you have one, just to go over some of those changes that are happening. Because, like Donna was saying earlier, the construction part is the fast part of the project, and they move quickly.
And for, the construction phase, if you've got a construction manager, they usually will submit a report every week, the beginning or at the end of every week, on what was done, if there's any changes. Um, and that will go to the board. But it's a long process. I mean, I think I counted it up. There are 61 steps. So even meeting, and you're not going to have to go through all of them generally, but for medium to large HOA, I say it's going to take you 3 to 5 years just for the planning.
Okay, perfect. We have a question here from Lysandro. Uh, is there a template or a sheet that is available to track the progress of a re-roofing project on buildings when you do a phased approach, or do roofing vendors typically offer this type of tracker?
Um, the roofing contractor or the construction manager will have a complete phasing plan for you. And I just had weekly updates of where you stand on that phasing plan, because they also have to pull the permits, get the inspections. So it requires quite a bit of paperwork.
Okay, back to the top here. We have a question here from an anonymous attendee. Please comment on the statement that warranty for HOAs are commercial and not residential.
Um, yes, usually when you see what's called a residential warranty, um, on the manufacturer's flyers, it says residential warranty, limited lifetime, uh, 40 years, and that's a specific residential warranty. A commercial warranty, and this is mainly for the asphalt shingle, because the clay, concrete, and metal are all the same. Residential and commercial is the same. I mean, I'm very familiar with the Westlake products, and we don't have separate commercial versus residential warranties, because we warranty the product. And the asphalt shingle manufacturers um, and now warranty really the purchaser. And you'll see that on their warranties, that the very first line is, this is for residential, single family residential homeowners only, and for the initial purchaser of the roof. Whereas like the Westlake warranties say, we warranty the address, and that's good for 50 years.
Okay. Thank you. We have a question here from Catherine. So Catherine is asking regarding roofing products and I know you don't do flat roof, but how do you start learning about roofing products?
Um, I can send you the roof product matrix, and that's kind of why we're here.
Yeah. Do
The
you know if there's any independent sources a board could go to similar to your matrix, but something that's online that's easy for them to see?
um, there really isn't. That's why I put together the matrix. Is you would have to know each specific product and then go look at the different manufacturers for that product and really know what questions you're asking. I would start with the product matrix and then, like, take concrete and go online and say, okay, is there a concrete manufacturer's website that, you know, I mean, too, there's Westlake and Eagle for lightweight concrete. You have to go to both of them and then look for, their warranty, their wind uplift, their, all the different questions that are in that matrix. And you could do that by uh, manufacturer. But I've found that most people, when they put in roofing products, they get so bombarded with information that within a short time they just close the computer and walk away and nothing happens.
Okay. Thanks for the question, Catherine. There's one here by Ron that I'm going to address here. Ron mentions that some change orders are a result from surprises or things that happen while they're putting it on, and they need to be addressed quickly. One of the ways, Ron, that Dave and I, who have talked to homeowners, is they usually have a board liaison that can quickly and has authority given to them by the board to actually make that change order happen quickly. Usually, what there is there's a dollar amount. So if the change order, for example, let's say it's less than $5,000, a singular board member has the authority to push that change order through. That's very common. Now, for the bigger change orders, there could be all types of change orders that are, $20,000 worth of change orders at one time. That you might want to talk with your construction manager or your manager on the project and your entire board to figure out what you're going to do. But the most common approach we find is usually there's one or two board members that have authority and they have a dollar limit that they can do change orders under. And if it's an emergency like you have in your question here, or from a surprise that they find when they're tearing off the roof, they just go to that person that has authority with the board, and then they can get the problem handled as quickly as possible. Uh, that's the most common way I hear of it. Donna, do you have any others that you've heard of? Other ways to
No,
deal with those surprise ones?
100%. That's the best way, is have a liaison for the smaller amounts, because every project you're going to have surprises. As soon as you tear off something that's old, you'll find more things that need to be done.
Yeah. So thank you for that question, Ron. That goes really well with one of the ones we had earlier. We have another question here from an anonymous attendee. Would you recommend adding 2 layers of underlayment to double the life of the roof?
Um, depends on what roof and what underlayment. I mean, that's kind of
I think it's a loaded question, Donna.
yeah. It's definitely not a yes or no, because doubling the underlayment is not going to, in a lot of cases, is not going to give you double the warranty. There's also the underlayment and the roof warranty are two different things.
Okay, we have another question here from Vince. Where can I find any legal language that says association property managers are not responsible for capital projects? Uh, Vince, I'll take this one, Donna, because I
Thank
don't
you.
think that's one in your wheelhouse. Um, so it really just depends on your contract as well with your management company. So if you have construction project as part of your contract with them, that may be something that you take care of. A lot of management contracts don't have PM, any project management actually in the contract. They'll help you find people to do it, but they actually, their part of their contract doesn't even include project management. And a lot of the times, at least in my experience, you don't really want your manager to be your project management person either, unless they have significant experience in the field. Um, because at the end of the day, they're your community manager, and they may not have any of that real world experience to do the project management and to help with your SOPs and your RFPs and your change orders, because they've just never experienced it before. Now, a lot of management companies, like Don has been saying today, do have departments that have actual project and construction managers in them, and they work or work with the management company. Those ones are what you're probably looking for. As far as legal language that says that, it really just depends on your contract with the management company specifically. You'll see very commonly uh, it as an additional add-on in your management contract. So it'll say something like, we will do your project management for 2 to 8% of the total project cost. That is something that's very common, for the larger companies, at least. And you can weigh that against hiring your own project manager that may be a specialist in the field and see if that cost makes sense to you.
Yes, 100% agree. Everything is going to be in your governing documents and your management contract. And that's why it was up there in bold. Community managers are not construction managers. And a lot of them have no construction experience. And we've gotten so many newer ones lately, post-COVID, that unless you ask them a specific question, like, is this required for us to do? Or are you going to handle X, Y, and Z? And then they'll tell you, it's like, no, it's not our job. That's the board's responsibility. And
Yeah.
that's why I keep going back to, everything is really the board's responsibility. The board even has to ask a specific question of the community manager.
Yeah, I agree with that. Next question here, we have Cecilia. Uh, she asked, what's the difference between composite and composition material?
Um, Composition is like the asphalt shingle. It's asphalt shingle, or sometimes referred to as fiberglass shingle, whereas composite are the new, like the polymers. It's a compilation of different products. I mean, they had like fiber cement, and now they have like the Da Vinci, the Brava, which is a polymer, a composite of polymers. Does that make any sense? I like to, when I'm talking to boards or even HOA member, is bring in all the different samples of everything on the market so they can see exactly what it is I'm talking about. But composition is asphalt shingles, and composite are a a combination of different products, like the plastic polymers.
Yeah. Um, Thank you for that question, Cecilia. Zocina, we have another question from you. It looks like uh, and this goes in with something that you spoke to earlier, Donna, but if you can rephrase it, do we have the option of reusing old tile when replacing the underlayment instead of getting an entirely new roof? And does it impact the price?
Yes, you can do a remove and relay, it's called, where you take the old tile off um, and put down a new underlayment and put the tile back on. The problem is you've got um, part of your roof is going to be 40 or 50-year-old tile and is and when you take it off, that tile is much more brittle, so you're going to break a significant amount of it. Um, and then matching what you have, is that product even available? And when you remove and relay it, is it going to be warranted for, all of your roof, half of your roof? Um, I don't know the answers to that, but I would prefer to have a whole new roof. That's just me.
New tile, so you know exactly when it's all aging and what age point it's at.
Exactly. But there are many companies that will do a remove and relay. It is less expensive. Um, and yeah,
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. We have another question here from John. On concrete tile roofs that are getting older but are still in good shape, there are services that offer to power wash and reglaze the tiles to extend their life. Have you found in general that it's a worthwhile expense and that it actually does extend the life, or is it a waste given that the substrate's still the same age?
um, I I would go with it's a waste, because again, it gets back to the underlayments is still gone. Um, and how do you really reglaze a tile?
Let's see here. We have another question from Ron here that's been upvoted. What level of contingency fund would you recommend budgeting for a roof replacement project?
Um, Myself as a project manager, I go 20%, but I would, if you're working with a construction manager, they have more recent information and they would be familiar with your roofs, the condition, and what the product is on it. Um, and that would be the determining factor. So ask your construction manager, because it varies by roof product and age. But yes, Rod, 20% is my rule of thumb.
Okay, let's see. We have just a general question here for you, Donna. Are tar and gravel roofs still used anymore?
Um, yes, they are. I mean, I call them composition. It's
That's
tar and gravel.
a nice, easy one there. Okay, we'll take about one or two more questions here, and then we'll move on to our ending announcements. We have one more here from Marcia. Can you speak to the advantages of having a project manager contract on the HOA's a PM contract on the HOA's roof? How frequently should they be expected? And what time of year should roofs be should be inspected?
Um, a project manager
Oh,
inspecting.
preventive maintenance contract. Sorry, you put
Oh,
PM Marcia, and I was like project manager. No, preventive maintenance contract.
maintenance is super important right now. The insurance companies and insurance underwriters are asking for 5 to 10 years of maintenance records. They want them updated. And I I tell HOAs, it's like, I don't care if it's written on a napkin from 8 years ago. Put it in a file. Talk to whoever does your maintenance, have them put together every single time they came out and what they did. I've got a maintenance checklist that I'd be happy to send you. So every time someone steps on your roof and says, oh, we put some caulking here, write it down, sign it, date it, put it in a file. So when your insurance agent comes for your renewal every year, say, here it is, here are our maintenance records. Super important, really good question, Marcia.
Yeah. And so you recommend that they have a professional for their maintenance come out yearly?
Yes,
Okay.
and keep records.
And then just to answer the last part of Marcia's question here, what time of year would you want them to come and take a look at your roof?
Yeah, anytime they can.
There you go, Marcia. Anytime you got some open space and it's probably not raining.
Yeah, do it before it leaks.
Thanks, Marcia. Great question.
Um, Also for maintenance, I would have them come out late summer and fall at least once to clean the valleys, the gutters, check everything before winter.
Okay, and we'll answer one more question here before we go ahead and end for today. We have a question from Annie. Is adhesive underlayment a good investment for a tile roof?
Um, like a peel and stick,
I
or
think that's what it sounds like to me, like a peel stick underlayment.
there are all different types of underlayments. And a good synthetic underlayment works great. Peel and stick, depending on the city or county, a lot of the uh, cities and counties, the inspectors require um, a peel and stick around the eaves and the valleys. Even some places require it over the whole roof. So it really depends on your local codes.
Yeah. She put in here that she's in San Diego. So yeah, check your local city uh, or local county one and see what they require. But sounds like peel and stick is probably a pretty good way to go if it's not already required, probably in a lot of parts of their roof.
And in San Diego, if they've got a concrete or clay tile, um, call the Westlake rep down there. He's really good. He knows all the codes.
There you go, Annie. You can reach out to Donna, get the San Diego's the San Diego rep's name. Okay. Well, thank you for all the questions. We answered 27 questions in this Q&A period. So thank you, Donna, for answering that. We're going to go ahead and move into our closing announcements. So I want to say thank you to all the Echo members for coming today and supporting our ongoing Echo webinars. For those of you who are not Echo members, please consider becoming a member and supporting HOA boards throughout the country. To join, simply go to echo-ca.org and click on the membership tab and click your membership type. Echo members, thank you for supporting us, and please invite your friends, boards, and especially management firms and vendors to join Echo. A simple invitation is often all it takes to encourage someone to join. If you would like to become more involved in ECHO, please consider joining our volunteer corps. As part of our volunteer corps, you will have a few opportunities where we could use your help. Please take a look at the slide. These are the things that we are currently looking for. If you do want to help and volunteer some of your time with us, feel free to email Dave. His email is at the bottom of the screen there. That's dzaponi at echo-ca.org. And now on to our other announcements. The Echo HOA University has an educational program focused on HOA board member preparedness. The core curriculum of 10 courses is designed for high quality training and is available for HOA board members, homeowners, and professionals. Your participation in this program will earn you a certificate of HOA board member preparedness. This course length is 29 hours of education. It's a doozy. There's a lot of information there. It's very good. The courses are all offered online via Zoom, and their recordings are also available if you do not have time to attend live. If you or someone you know wants to enroll, in the certification program, feel free to email me. My email is on the screen there at the very bottom. I can help you out. The registration is also available on our website. Here's our upcoming resource panels that may be in your area. On April 21st, we have the Wine Country Resource Panel. They're going to be talking about shape, strengthen, and sustain, pruning, and plant well-being. So if you're in the Santa Rosa area, that's a great resource panel to go to, and we look forward to seeing you there. On April 22nd in the North Bay, this is in Novato, we will be talking about sewer and systems maintenance. So if you're in an older association that may have not had this on your reserve plan, this is a good one to go to because you may want to have that added for any maintenance that you have coming down the line. And then in San Francisco on April 22nd in the evening, they're going to be talking about April showers lead to water intrusion. They're going to be talking about a lot of the water issues that happen. Very nice to have Donna here today because a lot of that probably comes from your roof. So if you're interested in that, they're going to be talking a little bit more about that on April 22nd. On April 28th, we have the San Pablo Bay Resource Panel that's up there in Benicia. They're going to be talking about landscaping and tree care, as well as the new turf law. So if you're in the area and you want to learn a little bit more about the turf law or just general tree care and landscaping, it's a great webinar to go, or a great resource panel to go to. In the South Bay on April 29th, that's San Jose, we're going to be talking about HOA harmony. Can't we all just get along? We're going to be discussing conflict resolution, how do you deal with unruly homeowners, all the fun stuff that board members deal with that don't want to deal with. And then lastly, for our resource panels on April 30th, we're going to be talking at the Central Coast Resource Panel about preventative maintenance for a healthy HOA. So they're going to be talking about all sorts of maintenance that you should be keeping your eye on as an HOA board member. Some that will probably most likely include roofing, but as well as other things that are in your community that you should be keeping an eye on. We also have 3 larger events coming down the line here. We have the NorCal Educational Seminar on June 13th, the SoCal Educational Seminar on September 19th, and the ECHO Legislative Update on November 14th. The NorCal one that's coming up here in June is in San Jose at the Villages Golf and Country Club. Registration's available for that. If you get our journal or our insight, the registration links are in there. We'll be sending out official announcements here in the next month or so. We are also releasing a new program called Echo Our Town. The Our Town program includes it's a peer-to-peer Echo member group where you can go in, you can actually talk to each other. You'll learn a little bit more about it. You can have a place for your community to discuss things as well. There's a bunch of different features in there that may be of use to your community. If you just take a look at the slide, tons of programming will be available on there. You can have your Zoom meetings in there. I say Zoom lightly. There's video conferencing that's available within the Our Town program that you can use for free. It's part of your member benefit. So if you want to learn a little bit more about Our Town, feel free to give me an email. It's at the bottom of that slide, and we are currently in beta testing. So if you want to try using it for your own community, feel free to shoot me an email and I'd be more than happy to set you up. Now for some of our upcoming webinars. On April 23rd, we have the educational workshop, Evaluating Your HOA Management Company. On May 2nd, we have the Ask the Attorney, Laws Other Than the Davis-Sterling Act. And on May 7th, we have our educational workshop, A Strategic Approach to HOA Management. All three of these courses are included in the HOA University if you are registered for that. If not, they are great courses individually, great material, great speakers. We look forward to having you at one of those webinars as well. And last but not least, we have our ECHO Board Members Club. The next meeting is May 12th. The Board Members Club is a monthly group that meets from 5:30 to 7 of ECHO board members or former board members. It's a great place to connect with other individuals that work in the HOA space as board members and to pick their brain a little bit, learn a little bit more about how they deal with problems in their association. Hopefully you can bring some of that back to your own. And then as a last reminder here, this is recorded. So if you do want to share this with your other board members or your community, feel free to send them the YouTube link. Usually it's available within 7 to 10 business days of the presentation, maybe a little bit longer depending, but that is available. And the slides were sent to you prior to today's meeting. If you did not get a copy of those and you'd like a copy, feel free to email me. And then as Donna mentioned at the beginning as well, she has some additional things that we'll be sending out, the matrix, some material stuff as well as the checklist. So take a look on your email in a few days here for that post-event stuff, and we will have that all sent to you. And lastly, I just want to say thank you, Donna, for doing the presentation. We answered a lot of questions today, so thanks for that. And of course, thanks to all of you for being here and attending today to make this a successful event. ECHO appreciates your investment in education to foster a better quality of life in HOA communities.